Welcome to another edition of Len's Burning Bush. I am Len Harvey. Before I bring on my guest for the week, I want to talk about what's really burning my bush. So during every wedding in the 1990s and to present, we have danced to this famous song. Boogie, woogie, 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 right? Marcia Griffiths, thank you for that lovely song. And it's funny, as we enter 2022, we are now obsessed with more electric boogie woogie woogie as we are in 2022. And I'm going to explain this so that you understand what I'm actually talking about. Everything seems to be electric these days, and we are using more and more than we ever did. Just to look it up, because, of course, I have to look things up. That's what I do. The total U.S. electric consumption, let me see if I can speak in this thing, in 2020 was about 3.8 trillion kilowatts, not 3.8 trillion gigawatts, Marty, but it was kilowatts. And it's 13 times greater than what was used in 1950. Now, I know we have better technology and everybody's using power, but it is getting to the point where every house has computers, iPads, iPhones, watches. We're plugging everything in. Your electric bill is going up, and it continues to go up to high levels. Now, power is a huge commodity, and I know this because have you ever been to an airport and you see people looking to plug their phone in to a wall outlet or some outlet at the airport? It's almost like a drug addict looking for that fix to get it. That's why I always carry a power strip, everybody. You got to have it. It's gold, baby, gold. So let me get to my next point and the reason for this rant. Car companies like Tesla, okay? And now all of the other major ones are coming out with what we have is all electric. EV is the new, phase. They say it is safer for the environment. But really, is it really safer for the environment? Or is it just more dependent on electricity? What would Ben Franklin say today? And do I want another device that I need to plug in for the love of God? Oh, my goodness. And also, I don't want to be on the road in the middle of nowhere looking for that farmhouse and ask them, hey, can I plug my car in? I mean, really? I mean, how obnoxious does that? It's just crazy. All electric plug-in is just, I'm out. I mean, I'm sorry. I like the idea of both. If they could come up with electric and gas that gets you about 700 miles on a tank or something like that, I'm all for that. But the fact is, I am not getting a vehicle that I always have to worry about charging. Heck, my phone will die in the middle. Do I want to be on a car that's going to die? And people always complain about the gas prices. The gas prices are so high, but then they spend $4 at Starbucks on a mocha latte. But have you ever really looked at your electric bill every month? I'm sure nobody does. But if you do, all you do is see the amount and you're like, oh, Caval, I can't take it anymore with the amount, right? Do we even know, or do we even understand it? At least with gas, you go to the pump and okay, well, that was $50 and the transaction is done and you can drive for a little bit of time before you have to worry about filling up again. With electric bills, you have some guy from the power company, allegedly, that comes to your house and reads this meter. Only he knows how to read it, right? He goes with the kilowatt hours and and they program this rate, which changes every day. Like you'll look at your last year's history to this year and you paid $100 more than you did last year. Every year, it just consistently goes up. What I would like to see is an app that goes on your electric meter and actually tells you are using too much power. Slow down. Because I think if you knew exactly how much you were actually spending in a given month before the bill actually came out, you'd probably be shutting these things down and you wouldn't be plugging in your car into the house anymore. So that's kind of where I was thinking. The phones, the watches, it's an obsession. So when I hear the commercial that says, plug it in, I think I'm going to pass. Okay. With that being said, it's time to bring on my guest for the week. She is a creator of Mazel Mamas, a place for Jewish mothers to go when planning a big event. She also hosts the podcast of the same name. We worked together back in the 1990s, but she's making her first appearance on Len's Burning Bush. Please welcome, and I'm going to get her to the stream. Please welcome the lovely, the talented Heather Dworkin Bucciano. How you doing? Oh, we're muted. I'm sorry. Let's get you back. Sorry. Go ahead. Bucciano. Let's do it again.
Hey, Len. It's freaking me out kind of seeing you face to face because you and I always talked without a picture.
I know, and that's why I had a face for radio, and this is the reason I didn't do video. You know what I'm saying? It's just, this is, we're just kind of getting used to the video chat on the YouTube channel, and you got to like, comment, subscribe, whatever, hit the ding dong, right? Is that how they do it now on the YouTube channels?
It's the ding dong.
I have 15 subscribers, so obviously I'm not doing very well. So we need to, the idea here is if I could get to 100 subscribers by the end of this broadcast, I will do something nice next week. I don't know. We'll figure it out, but let's try, right?
Only if you get to 100 subscribers.
Only. I mean, come on. We're not going to do it. Now, let's get into my rant for a second here. I've been looking for a vehicle, kind of, because used cars are such in high demand now that they're willing to give me almost as much as I paid for the vehicle 3 years ago. So I'm like, you know what? I think things are going to be a little bit different in the next few months. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just get a new car now. I don't need one, but what the hell? So I start looking at a little bit, maybe a little bit of luxury. It's time as I get older in life. The rule is you got to buy a Cadillac and move to Florida. Maybe it's my time, right? Maybe I have to do that, right? So I'm looking at. I looked at this one dealership that had a couple of Teslas, and this is where this all came through. I like the idea of the Tesla. I do think it's a nice vehicle. I think it looks fantastic. I just worry too much, and I know worrying is paying on a debt you may never owe. But am I going to be the one that's going to be, in the middle of the road there with an electric vehicle that is dead? That's the question.
Well, let me tell you, Len. Let me just say, first of all, that I am one of those electric junkies wandering around the airport, always looking for somewhere to plug in. That's me for sure, always.
I know. I see you.
I too, though, I am with you. I will not be someone who gets one of those electric plug-in cars. Why? Because I can already hear my mother in the back of my head saying, but Heather, what happens when it rains? If it's electric, are you going to get electrocuted?
Yes.
I can already hear it.
I know. And you did your mother so well. She's a wonderful woman. That is what I'm concerned about. And again, is it really, like everybody says, oh, it's safer, it's this, it's that. I don't think so. I don't think it's any better for the environment using electric as it is gas, because you know how electric is powered, right? Don't you have to have some kind of a fuel or some kind of, I mean, it's not exactly as safe to the environment as they say.
I have no idea how electric
exactly.
is powered.
Neither do I.
Know,
and I don't want to know.
Dishwasher, it's good.
But everybody one day said, oh, it has to be electric. Who's the guy that says this? And have you ever have you looked at cars recently? Okay. You've driven a car in the last few years, I would say. Of course.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So we all know that used to have the shifter was on the top when I was driving. Okay.
Yes.
Remember that? Okay. Yep. Back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, whatever. Then they moved it to the middle, right? It still had the PR, whatever, right?
Yep.
All right. Well, engineers, and you got to love them, right? You got to love engineers, because without engineers, we wouldn't innovate, and I love them. But they've come up with ways now where you can't even figure out. I swear to you, I test drove a Cadillac, the X5. Not my style, but it was okay. But the biggest problem, I couldn't figure out how to put the damn car in reverse. And it was an automatic. I mean, it was just you're sitting there and you're trying to move the shifter, and it's like, why did we change? And even Mercedes, they have the shifter on the top. Lincoln has come out with a piano keyboard, PR, whatever. It's like, okay, I can live with that. But why did we need to change this?
Len, I recently drove a BMW, a friend's BMW.
Yes.
I swear I couldn't figure out how to get in. I'm not like, I literally couldn't figure out how to get in the car. Like, I couldn't figure out how to unlock it. I had the fob. And then when I was in the car, I couldn't figure out how to start the car. It was crazy. It was a beautiful car, BMW. I didn't know how to drive it.
No, I know. And like I said, these cars are amazing. The other thing too is what I've noticed is, for those of you out there that are looking for new cars, you will find that cars now in the $30,000 range, and then you got $40,000. all of these so-called decent cars are now overpriced. And then the luxury models now are starting to, it's kind of level off a little bit where, I mean, I would have never thought, I mean, I don't like to spend $50 for a pair of sneakers, never mind spending $50,000 on a vehicle, right? Because this is ridiculous. Pickup trucks started it. And now it's, you know, you look at these, the Porsche Cayenne, and they want like $86,000 for this vehicle. And I'm like, you know, I'm sorry. Does it come with 2 bedrooms and a bath?
I did recently take my mother car shopping, and she said, this is going to be, and the poor car salesman, oh my God. But I recently, and she said, Heather, this is going to be the last car I ever buy. I want luxury.
Yes.
So we took her all over the place, but she wanted, Mercury, and we took her to Mercedes, and we took her to Cadillac. We took her everywhere. She ended up with a Buick. Of course she did. I want luxury, but it's a Buick. I don't know what it is. I'm actually, I'll tell you, Lincoln actually has a vehicle that is, as far as I'm concerned, looking at all of them, the Lincoln Nautilus is for anybody that's looking for an SUV. I tell you, it is within the price range of all of it. What I found interesting, the salesman showed me, because it's built on the same platform as the Ford Edge. Okay. So he showed me, because I wanted like certain things in it, right? I wanted the roof. If you're gonna cup holders.
Yeah, come on. We have to have cup holders. Yeah, of course. While you're drinking your vodka in the car. But no, I'm sorry, that's not. No, but anyway, so he shows me this Ford Edge titanium model, top of the line, has everything you want in it. It was $49,000 for a Ford Edge. Yeah, exactly. My reaction the same way. $49,000 for Ford Edge. Nice looking car. Just that. Nice. Not 49,000 nice. But the problem is now where everybody, the car prices rise. So the Lincoln's now looking like a bargain at 52 or 54. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean,
but now they don't even give you the whole price anymore when they sit you down for to talk to you.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, monthly, you're just paying $300.
Oh, yeah. Or in this case, 700, but it's another story for another day. Now, you have come up with what I love. We'll get to it. We'll get to your podcast and all that, but I want to talk about how we got together. I was your traffic reporter on Long Island, and you like you said, you're used to just hearing me, and now you have to see me. So I'm sorry, but I actually attended one of your birthday parties back in the day.
We're not going to give a year.
No,
Len.
We're not giving a year. We are not giving a year. You were basically 10 years old at your 10-year-old birthday party. We had a wonderful time. Met your mother. She's wonderful. But we got together. I did the traffic on your show, and that's how we met. And you're stuck with me now.
It's forever. It becomes like listen, we would talk every single morning for over a year. So, I was trying to think. I think that you and I were working together when your kids were born. Is that right?
Yeah, my son was born in August of 2000.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so that is correct. One of the things that I remember vividly, so this was kind of funny. I was part of the morning. I did traffic, but I was on more than just traffic. I did a little bit. I was trying to, I wasn't in your studio, but I was, back in the day,
yeah.
It was, we reinvented that was the invented of the Zoom and whatever. We were able to hear each other and do all that from we were working from different places, right? Back in the day when you didn't understand what that was. But it is, what I remember is I went on vacation. I went to Pennsylvania. Really why I went to Pennsylvania on a vacation, I don't know. Again, that's before things, got a little better, right? But anyway, I went with a family of good friends, and they're still my friends today. It was a family reunion. Of course, not my family, but I'm always like that adopted child that everybody wants to be in their family, right? Because I'm an only child, and they feel bad for me. But anyway, we go ahead and go to this place in Tunkhannock, Pennsylvania, where the men are men and the cows are nervous. But anyway, in Tunkhannock, we had this weekend, because we played golf and there was a whole to do. There was a bar there that had a trivia contest. And I don't know if you remember this, but the trivia contest, and of course I won. because I have a
Of course
lot
you
of
did.
useless information in my head. And then you thought it was a good, you and the PD thought it was a good idea to have Stump Len. And people would come up with like 70s and 80s television and stump me. And the way it actually ended, we did it for like a week or two. The way it ended was at some point they were just coming up with crap, that I had no idea. But even more so was that was really the early stages of the internet. And I would go online, at some point I couldn't answer. I looked online and I got the answer and I said, I actually just cheated. And that was the last time we did it because I admitted, I was like, at least I admitted it. I wasn't trying to
Very
be
honest.
I'm a mensch when it comes to that stuff. But
yes.
I just thought, I didn't know if you remembered that, but I did vividly. And I tell the story all the time about my trivia.
As soon as you said Stump Len, yes, it all came back.
It's all coming back. It's coming back to me now, right?
You got to do that one on TikTok with the fan and the lights and the whole thing.
You see, I'm out. TikTok is not happening for this man. My wife does TikTok. She follows people on TikTok. I'm like, you're in your 50s. Enough with the TikTok.
I just got into the TikTok. I can't put it down.
I bet it's probably wonderful. My son is on it. My daughter. The kids are older now, and I don't know. I'm just trying to live for today, right? It's just what it comes down to. But anyway, I want to talk about your podcast because you're on a podcast. But what's better to promote another podcast on the podcast that gets no listeners? But anyway, let's talk about your podcast. Mazel Tov, Mazel Mamas is a podcast. You do it, but you had the get of all gets. You had
the main mama.
My God, the main mama from The Nanny, Renee Taylor. Let me tell you, I am so jelly. All right,
Sylvia Fine.
Sylvia Fine. I love The Nanny. One of my favorites. The grandmother was even funnier because they gave
Yetta.
her. Yetta was very funny, but that show was tremendous. But you had her on your podcast. Talk about that.
I did have her. Yeah. So she's in a new movie, Tango Shalom. And that her son and her late husband, Joseph Bologna, produced and wrote together. And it's about an Orthodox Jew who tangos with Karina from Dancing with the Stars. And so but of course, listen, I needed to talk to, if you're going to talk about Jewish mothers, she's the main one. So I got her on the show to talk about Tango Shalom, and then we talked about The Nanny, and we talked about Fran, and I finally asked her, because listen, if ever there was a story of my life made, Sylvia Fine would have to play my mother, Shelley. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And so I finally asked her, who did you base your character on? I thought maybe it was her mother. She said no. It was actually Fran Dresser's mother. That's who she based the character of Sylvia Fine on. I couldn't believe it. And while I was, getting ready to interview her, I watched some old YouTube clips, and my Italian husband, had never seen The Nanny. And when I showed him a couple of clips from YouTube, he just died. He said, "Oh my God, that's your mother," because she was always eating. She was always complaining. That was it.
What people don't understand. And you married an Italian. That is my dream. Okay. That will happen. I'm sorry, Susan, but if the next one's Italian, okay. First of all, they can cook a lot better. They don't need to make reservations, right? I'm going to
Mine is an Italian chef. I married an Italian chef.
Oh, you hit the Mac Daddy. Can I
really
come
did.
over? Can I come over? Because I grew up and I had my friends on the show. Okay. Their mothers would always feed me because they felt bad for me because I was very thin. Oh my God, you got to eat. It's the same with the Jews. There's no difference, I think, in the Italian guilt versus the Jewish guilt. It's very similar. And that's why, if you remember, you had Everybody Loves Raymond, Doris Roberts, may she rest in peace. She was a Jewish woman doing an Italian, but it was the same thing. She was just a good cook in the show. She just changed the dramatics a little bit. But I just think it's fantastic because the difference, I always like to say, Italians and Jews are different in one or two ways, right? The Italians, right? We'll first start with the Jews. The Jews like to travel, right?
Yep.
Right? Wandering Jew. That's where wandering. Yeah, like to go on a cruise, like to go everywhere. Italians, where am I going? I got a pool in my backyard. Now, I'm the guy who has a pool in my backyard that goes kicking and screaming now to want to go anywhere. But that's another story. But I do travel a little bit too. But that isn't that kind of funny how you look at that and it's very similar. The Italian guilt, the mother, and the complex. Oh, my mother would be the same way. It's like, oh, you're killing me. You know,
The mothers are always, the matriarchs of the family. They're the decision makers. They'll say, what do I know? But they're running everything. They're running the world, really. The Jewish mothers and the Italian mothers. And I, listen, you can talk all about the stereotypes all you want, but I celebrate it. I think it's amazing and wonderful. And I love every single stereotype about all the Jewish mothers and the Italian mothers. They're bossy and they'll lay the guilt on thick and they'll want to feed you. And it comes from a place of love.
It does.
That's
but
really
sometimes it's a little crazy, like with what Marie did or what with Sylvia Fine, or, those are crazy examples, but they're not that far off. Let me tell you that really it is pretty close.
It's really kind of what I grew up with. Yeah, I don't know about you,
but Shelley, but we gotta love Shelley. We gotta talk about her. Talk about your mother, Shelley. She's God bless. She's got to Florida now, because that's the law.
She took all of us with her.
We
all left our jobs and said, Shelley's got to be in Florida. Let's all go.
Oh, and it's a good thing. So how did you meet this wonderful Italian chef who I'm ready? Can you make me, I can use a little veal francese, maybe a little, I'm very hungry all the time. So
Len, we met at speed dating.
Wow.
We met at
fantastic.
Speed dating. Yeah. And I lied to him. I lied about everything. I lied about my name. I lied about my age. I lied about what I did because it's crazy out there when you're dating. Thank God I'm not dating anymore. So I lied. And then on the second date, I told him my real name and my real age and what I really did. And he thought he was on candid camera.
That is fantastic.
18 years later, here we are.
Mazel. That's where the Mazel Tov comes in, from Mazel Mamas. You started this, which I'm fascinated. Just kind of like everybody thinks that Len's burning bush could mean a couple of things. It could mean a religious thing, or it could mean the alternative, which is not so religious. And people think it's either one or the other, but it's just really things that bother me. And that's why I rant. I used to do this just for free, I do it all the time anyway. So why not come up with a little bit of rant? I've always wanted to do stand-up comedy, and this is kind of my entry, right, to do this podcast. I didn't know what I was going to do. But how did you start this Mazel Mamas? How'd you get the idea?
Listen, I knew I wanted to create content that Jewish moms and those who love them could relate to. And so, my objective with the podcast for Mazel Mamas is to speak, bring some experts on, and then also bring some famous Jewish moms on, talk about, because right now I think, with Jewish culture, there's a lot happening in Jewish culture that's kind of a little bit serious, a little bit scary. But I think for a lot of people, they want to be able to bring their heritage and their Jewish culture into their lifestyle and their families, but they don't belong to a temple. They don't, speak Hebrew. They don't keep kosher. Bacon is the love of life. And they don't want to feel guilty about it. And so they want to be able to kind of share that, but not feel ashamed or guilty. And that's kind of where Mazel Mamas kind of comes in. It's like, for people who are Jewish and they want to be able to bring that into their family. Like if they're not belonging to a synagogue and they're expecting a baby boy and they know they're going to be having a bris, they got to get the moil and they got to find out exactly what needs to be done. And there's a lot of, kind of things that need to get done. And so a bris is something that we can talk about exactly what you're going to need. And you don't need to feel guilty or embarrassed to have to call up a temple and say, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. I mean, you talked about being Jewish. I've always said that I'm kind of Jewish, and there should be a TV show. We've had, Blackish. We need to have Jewish.
Yes, Len.
That's my next project. I think we're working on that together. You and I've got a couple of ideas for TV shows, so we need to collaborate a little bit. I think it would be a lot of fun to do that. But you're right. I mean, people don't understand. I think it's great to learn about culture. I think a lot of times, we never do teaching moments anymore of you don't understand something. It's okay. Raise your hand. I have a real problem with acronyms in the workplace. And I think we talk in that way in life. We always LOL and we do all of those acronyms that everybody doesn't understand. And at some point, it's kind of like that girl you're you've met and you don't know her name and you can't really ask her at this point. It's kind of like with the LOL or even what a bris is. Nobody knows what that is, and they're afraid to even ask. They just kind of nod and go, "Yeah, yeah, okay." But it's okay to ask, and I think we need to be a little more teaching of the cultures and understand. Hey, this is what happens on Christmas. This is what happens on Hanukkah. This is, do everything so that we can understand it, as opposed to just having one way or the other way. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And it's also a place really where Jewish moms who were brought up more religious and more entrenched in the culture, for them to be able to accept their child in an interfaith marriage as well, and how all of the different cultures are going to be blended together, no matter what the culture is.
I like the blending now because I go to, I don't go as much as I used to, but the temple that I had belonged to, um, I do belong, is like that. It's a little more relaxed, where there's a lot of interfaith marriages and there's all kinds of things, which is great. I think that I don't want to be part of something that's so exclusive. It's
I,
exactly the whole thing. You don't want to be part of that exclusive club.
when I married Joe, I had a very hard time finding a rabbi that would marry us. And,
Oh,
no after no after no, and you start feeling ashamed,
yeah.
you know? Yeah. So I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, it's kind of that way. And it's just, and I like to talk about things that are kind of with this show too. I like to bring, the reason I have the guest on is because obviously the guests are always better than me, and it makes me look good. It's always, it's kind of a way to bring it on. But I always like, because I think I treat it more like a co-host, and that's kind of what I like. I don't know if you saw this, but Cher, who's still looking great at 75 now, by the way.
Yes.
If you believe. Anyway, she did a song for the Golden Girls. I don't know if you saw this, but she shared a clip on social media, which she sang an all new cover of the theme to the Golden Girls.
I did
And
not
yeah,
see this,
she
Len. How
did.
did I miss it?
She gave the special performance of "Thank You for Being a Friend" on the original Golden Girls Stage 5 in Hollywood, where the long running show was taped. So we got to find it. I got to find it on YouTube or something like that. But I think, just to hear Cher do "Thank You for Being a Friend." Come on, we got to get
I
those.
mean,
I mean, I thought I was going to get you with the electric slide song in the beginning. I thought you're going to be tapping yourself,
well, every wedding you ever go to, you have to do the electric slide. But what's crazy, and I just heard about this. The Golden Girls were the same age as the women from Sex and the City that they are
Oh, I
now.
know. It's crazy. And
Crazy.
yeah, and you look at what the Sex and the City. I don't really love the new remake of it. I don't know. Have you watched it, the new one?
Just bits and pieces. I agree with you.
Yeah, it's not good.
Not the
And,
same.
I think, and Sarah Jessica Parker, God bless her, but she looks like she's had a few little too many lifts on the face a little bit. And, just be you, boo. Don't need, why do you let, the only one that looks exact, they both, I think that Cynthia Nixon looks pretty much the same.
I do too. I think she
Yeah,
looks great.
but Charlotte looks
Oh,
fat.
yeah.
But she's a little bit young. Is it? No, I think they're all around the same age, I
I
guess,
think they're all around the same age.
which is
She
kind of
does.
interesting. I don't like that
Yeah,
King Cottrell wasn't invited back, and I know she didn't want to do it, but I think that it's
I
just they
know,
got
but
into a look.
that war though is delicious. It's
Yes,
fantastic.
this is the gossip that we love. We love this. This is the type of stuff your mother would she loves it, doesn't she?
Loves it. Yes. Yeah.
It's just
Yeah. And then
it,
she thinks she knows these people too. Heather, did you see what they said now?
see, people don't understand that are listening right now in Iowa. They don't understand this, and I apologize. We might need to do have a little bit in the description of the episode, kind of cliff notes of how to talk Jewish, because this is kind of what we're doing today. We're kibitzing on YouTube, and we're also, I love this because it's funny. In the years of radio, I have many times people will say that you have a great voice and you don't sound like always. There's certain words that I do sound like I'm from New York, obviously. Quarter, water,
Water.
right? But otherwise, there's not. But when it's like you go back, like I go back to New York or New Jersey, and within 5 minutes, I'm like, how you doing? I'm certainly capable of going back into that mode. And right now,
Immediately.
yeah, right now I'm felling that we're talking about this stuff. Is that good?
It's very good. And it is. It just comes right back. Even if you're on the phone,
Yeah.
sometimes when I'm on the phone with some of my friends, I'll just slip right back in. Not that Florida is really that much different. It's really not. I mean, there's so many New York Jews down here.
Oh, of course. Are you going to dinner at 4:30 yet?
4:30.
Yeah.
You got to leave the house at 4:30, get there at
And
5.
you gotta come out with the toothpick. It's like, oh, that was a great steak dinner. Like the episode of Seinfeld. Oh, look at the big shot eating at 6 o'clock now. Not paying the prices, right?
That's right.
I love Seinfeld. I think they did that's a wonderful show. What's your thoughts of Seinfeld and Curb? What do you like about? Do you like both of the shows, Larry David?
Yeah, I do. I do. I do. I mean, listen, I was a big Seinfeld fan as
Yeah.
well. I remember watching the finale. It was a huge thing. I'm a big Seinfeld fan. Larry David?
Eh,
Eh.
pretty good. My wife cannot stand Larry David, and I'm sorry, Larry, because I love you. But for some reason, Susan does not like Larry because when she watches him on Curb, she's like, "Oh, enough already with him." Like he just goes all. I love it, but she's got a problem. She's like, "That show you watch, Curb." It's like I can't watch it anymore.
Well, I mean, I think that's like any marriage. I mean, my husband's favorite show was BattleBots, which I got to say, that was sometimes really fantastic.
You watch it once in a while.
BattleBots.
BattleBots. I've never even heard of BattleBots, so I got to.
Oh,
Oh,
Len,
all right.
sometimes it's very satisfying. These robots just tear the pants off each other. It's destructive and amazing.
Amazing. So during this pandemic, you're watching shows. What are you doing? Any show you binge watching on Netflix recently?
Yeah. I mean, I'm watching anything that comes out. Listen, I'll be honest with you, Len. I do like a little bit of the trashy shows.
Oh,
I'm not gonna lie.
not gonna lie. I love it.
I'm watching a little of the trashy shows. That Sex Life show is what I watched.
Hey, I watched that too. Very good. Very good.
Very hot. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a
And
couple
I
of
like
them.
you know what I watched last night? Did you see the Janet Jackson documentary?
No, I did not. Did they talk about the nip slip?
Not yet. That's in like the final part. And honestly, they padded it a lot. Like they
Of
could have
course.
gotten
Yeah.
through it a lot. So tonight's going to be the nip slip
Oh,
episode.
okay. Justin Timberlake and
Yes.
that was, it's funny. I really believe that when Justin Timberlake came back for the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, I think he should have brought Janet back on. They should have done the recreation of that. Would have been that. It was interesting. That happened in 2004, the Super Bowl, and I just saw an article today about it. And what's interesting is that was my first experience with TiVo. I had the DirecTV receiver with TiVo, and I was going back and forth. I go, did that just happen? And people were the show.
Everybody said that.
Yeah, exactly. Did that just happen?
Did that just happen? Yeah, we were at my brother's house in Portland, Oregon, watching it. We were all eating pizza, and like we blinked, and did that happen? It was like crazy.
Exactly. But now I don't know. The Super Bowl halftime show is getting a little bit. I don't know. I think it's something they put on. They've got to do it. Now they're stretching out. The Super Bowl is not till February 13th. It's on a Sunday. I had an episode last year. I brought Tanya Memi on. We talked about that the Super Bowl should be on Saturday. I had a whole episode about it because I can't stand that you have this party and people have to leave at halftime, especially on the East Coast. I think it's horrible that we get
because it's work the next day.
Yeah, you got to or either make Monday a holiday or put it on Saturday. And I know everybody says, oh, they can't do that because they won't get ratings, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, bull, you know what? If the Super Bowl was held at 2 a.m. on a Thursday, you'd still get people to watch it.
So they have to make the next day a holiday.
I think they do. I think they're never going to change it. And what amazes me, they always talk about tradition, but then in tradition, we didn't play on Thursday other than Thanksgiving. Now we're playing every Thursday. Or, there's these traditions are kind of a pick and choose mentality, which I don't understand. A little bit pick and choosing. I don't love it. I think we need to move it to Saturday, but that's never going to happen. So I have my Super Bowl party every year. It'll be the 21st Super Bowl party. Cause when I lived in New Jersey, I would always go somewhere. And then I moved to Kentucky and I'm like, people aren't coming. I can't go to a Super Bowl party. So I figured I'd create my own. So 21 years this year, we've had one every year. Even in the pandemic, we had a lighter crowd in the first year, but last year, decent amount of people came, and we're going to go all out. We're going to have, 40, 50 people, whatever. I'm going to try.
I think Super Bowl party is fantastic because it's really the only holiday where the food, it's the whole time, it's all hors d'oeuvres. Everything is hors
Yes,
d'oeuvres.
I
Yeah.
love it. There's two holidays that I love. In addition to Super Bowl, I love Thanksgiving because I love to eat, right? And then Groundhog Day. I don't know
No,
why, but those are the two.
Groundhog Day.
I love Groundhog Day. I think they should have a Groundhog Day movie marathon where they play the same movie over and over again, right?
I mean, it's a great movie.
It's a
Yeah.
just keep playing it. Bill Murray's wonderful in it. I was on a beach. I was making love to a woman for 24 hours, and I could have lived that day over again. No, that's not the day I get, right? But it's crazy. But where can people consume the podcast, and give out your website so that people can find this great content?
Mazelmamas.com.
Love it. And that's Mazel. I actually thought it was pronounced Maisel because of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, one of my favorite shows on
I'm hoping to get her
Netflix.
on. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, she'd be a get. Oh boy.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I'll tell you, Tony Shalhoub. And I know you're looking at mothers, but Tony Shalhoub is another good one. And there's a lot of great people on that show that if you can get. The woman who plays the mother was actually Judith on 2.5 Men.
Yes.
See, look at all this useless information that I have. See, but
it's an amazing cast.
It is so amazing. Good. I love it. And they do a great job. I mean, she really nails it. She does a great job. Rachel Brosnahan, is that it?
Yeah.
Rachel?
Yeah. Coming back, is it coming back February 13th or something?
I think so. All the shows came back. The problem is Ozark. I did not know that they were doing it in 2 parts. So I went ahead and got excited because I'm like, oh, great. I'm going to watch season 4 and it's going to put an end to it. No, I watched the 7 episodes and the son of a bitch thing is going to go to the second part now. Now I got to wait again. I mean, that's like, I can't deal with this stuff. This is what, binging is great, but don't drop them all then. If it's going to be a section, just do it once a week. Do it like the way we used to do it, like Animals. We used to have to watch The Sopranos on Sunday night at 9. We had to sit down and watch it before we had, TiVo, and you had to.
You don't answer the phone. No, that's right.
It was water cooler talk in the morning on a Monday. Do you remember that when we do radio shows? Sopranos was definitely a water cooler talk. Well, we could go on, and I love having you. This show is basically me catching up with all my friends. And if people don't like that, I'm sorry, but it is the way it is, right? That's the way it is. You can like Lens Burning Bush on Facebook at Lens Burning Bush and follow along on Twitter at Lens Burning Bush. I've got the YouTube channel now. So again, we try to get to 100 subscribers. See if we could do that. We've got 15. So we got a long way to go and a short time to get there. It's kind of like going eastbound and down. We got to get eastbound and down on YouTube and get some people to actually subscribe. So put it, promote it, do whatever. iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, you can get it. Podbean, iHeartRadio. You can even ask Alexa to play Lens Burning Bush and make sure you say Lens Burning Bush podcast, because you know what will happen if you just say Lens Burning Bush. It could be just about anything. But Heather Bucciano, do you like that? Did I do that okay?
It was perfect, especially with the hand movement.
You have to do. See, that's another thing. From New York and being Jew, you have to use your hands, and that's what people don't understand when they're watching now. Is why is he using his hands so much? It's just the way I do it. But this was a mitzvah doing this today. I am so excited. You're a mensch for doing it. I appreciate it. But thanks to Heather, I'm Len Harvey. We'll be back with another episode of Lens Burning Bush next week. So long.